Hello everyone, today we're taking a look at, well, the current iteration of the Naked series of GoPros from Flywoo. Flywoo, I have been using this Naked GoPro 9 for quite a while now. You've probably seen it in a number of videos. But this one is, the manufacturing process has really been refined, and that's fairly exciting. If you look at it at first blush, it doesn't seem as though that much has changed outside of the fingerprints on the little screen there. But if we turn it around back, so we can see that we now have what, to me, the fit and finish of the buttons just feels far better than it has in the past. You know, in the past we've had these plastic bits that are just like tabs that we push down, and the fan sticks out. So you can see there that, sorry, I've got my antenna a little bit in the way. I'm preparing to fly this one today, but just the manufacturing process. And this is obviously plastic, so you can feel that. And this, it feels like metal. There's possibility that it's not metal. One warning is don't use this for USB power. You'll find that all over their website. This is actually just for the display. And if you don't buy the display at the time that you buy this, you really can't get a display to join up to it. That's my understanding. GoPro has used some sort of part serial number in order to make sure they match. So if you get one, you should get it right away. But pretty straightforward, just slots in right there, you know. And then you have full controls. Of course, you don't have to have the screen in order to get the full controls. Sorry, I'm struggling to get this apart because I'm trying not to break it. There we go. You know, we've always got the short-range Wi-Fi or Bluetooth that we can connect to in order to use the app on the phone in order to control the different features and recording settings. Obviously, right there, it also says, don't use USB power, LCD only. So, part of their manufacturing process. So, we've got two options for mounting to our quads. We've got a TPU print like this, which mine came with this. I also noticed that this side, the print was a little bit sloppy. I shouldn't complain about printing too much because I'm really bad at it. This side is a little bit thicker than this side, and I noticed in a lot of the mounts that I tried this in that because of that it was causing problems getting the screw through very cleanly. But they have these other options that attach directly to the case. We've got the single and the double with the two different sizes screws, and you can see here they've got the 4 holes here, and we've got the 4 holes here. You've actually got an offset as well, so if you, for some reason, you wanted to mount the lens directly over the center of the quad, which I can understand that, kind of untraditional for us, but if you wanted to do that, you can, and of course it comes with the screws to do that as well. This part is redesigned based upon what they tell me. I don't have a problem with how it is, but they said there's going to be a redesign of this. So I'm just going to use a 4S battery to power it up and show you a little special feature here. Oh, and this clip now does have a clip. Hopefully that comes through, that, you know, it has a little alligator sort of clip there where it clips down on this. And I didn't find it caused me any troubles. So we've got our blue light, so we turn her on. You hear the fan. Yeah, you do hear the fans in these in your footage. So unless you can use some audio magic post-processing, the fan is there strictly to keep it cool, not for your audio pleasure. You can see mine's at 9 black, and you can see I've got my SD card in, and it's kind of sticking out. Well, that's a problem, because the SD card, sorry I bumped the camera, does not seat and stay in all the way. See how it went? It's frustrating me now. So I already made a video on this once. Oh, so now it's recording. I got it in just right as I recorded live. I've been trying for days to get that to stay in. And you can obviously see that I'm recording on a cell phone here and my lovely unfinished studio down there. That is brilliant. I wonder... It's just the spring loading mechanism is there. It came back out. So if I wonder... Oh, I've got it to work. I just needed to try more. All right, I'm going to go out and fly. Oh, no, it's not. Yeah, it is working. There's the SD card right there. Hello. Great, so now I get to go fly this one. All right. I'm excited now all of a sudden. All right, be right back.
So it's been a couple of days, and I've been able to actually use the camera as it's intended as a GoPro on our FPV quads. And the first thing I want to highlight is the fact that this does have a mic on it, and it does pick up the audio, but because it has a fan up back, the audio is probably not terribly useful. As we watch this flight footage, you can probably hear the fan in the background, but as we come down and land and the props are no longer making their noise, you can really hear the fan on the back, which is necessary because these GoPros get hot. I will say that the fan is better than the previous version. I went out and ran my older version as well, and this one's got kind of a high-pitched, annoying whine to it. That could be from use, because I have been using this over the course of the last year or two. So this one could develop that high-pitched whine as well, but as of right now, this fan sounds, well, like you heard it. And one of the features that I didn't get to before I discovered that the card would actually seat and I could actually record to it is that this has the Labs firmware on it. So that gives you the ability to do what some might call pro tuning. So you can really tweak some of the camera settings. And I won't go fully into that because there's probably more to cover there than I even actually have any idea about. But it gives you a lot of expert level controls. You also have the ability to use your cell phone and a QR code in order to change some of the settings on the camera, which I did do because I discovered another problem. So here's the camera. It's on. You can probably hear the fan too. But yeah, there's a little LED, and if I get the angle of the lighting and everything just right, you might be able to see it right up here. But yeah, the screen doesn't power on. Now, I was able to trigger changing from video to photo mode by sliding my finger. I think it was across. I haven't had much luck getting that to happen, and I have fussed with how I have it seated, and I've tried it with the screen connected and then plugging it in. I've tried it having the camera on and all the different combinations that I could think of, but it seems as though the screen doesn't come on. So I went online and I started looking around, and that seems to be a fairly common issue that happens with GoPros natively, and they have their solutions are all very, very basic of, hold the native power button down for 10 seconds to force it to power off, or things of that nature. But generally speaking, from what I found in the forums for GoPro, was that when GoPros do this, the only alternative is to send the whole camera back in for warranty support, which of course isn't going to work in this case because this camera's been modified by Flywoo, so we have to go back to Flywoo to see if they can resolve it. Don't think you can just get another display and attach it, because I believe there's some sort of serial number within the hardware that they have to marry up, they have to match up in order for the screen to actually work. But like I said, I could get to the touch interface. I was hoping I could trigger it while I was recording, but I just haven't been able to get it to do anything while I'm sitting here during this period of time. So the touch interface does seem to work. The camera or the display does seem to be getting enough power to run that. I've tried various batteries and combinations of when I connect this display on as well. But yeah, I ran into that issue, and if you run into that issue, you need to go back to Flywoo and kind of show them video documentation of what you're seeing as well. So now that we have it on, I already have touched the power button, so you can just hit the record button here. There we go, and we're recording. You can see I've got my cell phone up there, and we've got our little clock or our timer. I'll turn it right side around for you. You see some of the bright lights up there. So it's recording, and it's got inside the firmware that it's running is the Labs firmware, which I'm not an expert on by any stretch, but it gives you a lot of pro-level features that you wouldn't natively have if you were to have this camera directly from GoPro. I think GoPro offers a software that you can use, but you then have to pay an additional price for in order to get some of those same features. So what I've been doing is using the QR control app on my cell phone, which makes you make some settings on your QR on the app to create a different QR code, and then you put it in the camera view, and then it shows the image, kind of a snapshot of the image on the screen, and then it changes the settings based upon that. You might have noticed when I first started, if I showed that earlier in the video, that I was in 1080p mode. Now I'm in 4K 60 mode. I did notice when changing those settings, if you change settings to a mode that it doesn't actually support, that this screen will go black, but it stays powered on, and the only thing I could do to get it to activate again was to unplug it.
from power altogether and plug it back in. So I don't think I covered it earlier, but this little magnetic connector here that we have, that's the way you would upgrade firmware. So I presume that you plug in some sort of connector here in order to upgrade the firmware on this. I've never done that before, so I can't tell you a whole lot more about it, but I'm sure there are videos online talking about upgrading the lab's firmware on GoPros. And I'm sure Flywoo might have one on their website, as well as maybe on their YouTube channel. But that's kind of a neat little handy feature if you've ever had to do the past way of upgrading, which would be to actually use little connectors and little wires. Also, something that I didn't cover earlier was it has the ability to mount vertically. You can use one of the two mounts that it comes with, the metal mounts and the little screws. And you can mount them here on the bottom or across the side, depending upon whether you want them centered or if you want the lens centered over your mount point. So depending upon what you want, you can mount the lens, or you can offset it a little bit. Or if you can mount traditionally like we do GoPros, you mount it like my thumb being your mount point, or you can center the lens. I did report the issues that I had to Flywoo, and if they come back with any sort of update or resolution on that, I will either put some text here on the screen if I'm still editing the video, or I'll put more information in the video description and the first pinned comment. But for me, because I'm a micro guy, and whenever I'm trying to do some testing with an external HD camera, I typically use naked or decased GoPros just like this. I've been using my other one here for the last year, 2, 3, however long I've had this particular one. And they've really stepped up the fit and finish as far as the casing goes, the connectors. Everything's a little bit easier to use, as you might expect with iterations. I was particularly impressed out of the box with the case itself. It just feels much more like a refined product. This is the GoPro 9, which is kind of the lower end of all their particular naked GoPros. So depending upon your need, you might be looking at the 10, 11, or even the 12, which all have additional capabilities. The 12, as I look here, records up to 5.3K at 60 frames per second, or 4K at 120 frames per second. But go look at Flywoo's website. They have a little chart that kind of lays out the differences, and that should tell you as far as your specifications that you might need for an external HD camera on something that you might be flying, maybe doing a real estate fly through with a little Cinewhoop, or if you have something a little bit larger but you just want to have as much flight time as possible, so you're decreasing the weight, or maybe you have some other purpose for using a lightweight or decased sort of GoPro. I'll have links down in the video description to the Flywoo website. This is live, so if you do want to investigate the pricing or the different sort of things that I might not have covered in this particular video, because I am not a camera expert by any stretch, you can go to their website and take a look at the different specifications and all the additional information that they have on their website. But outside of the screen not working and a little bit of my frustration with pushing in the SD card, that still kind of boggles my mind after sleeping on it for a few days. The only thing I could think of was there's some sort of locking mechanism in there that might be a little bit too tight, and I just needed to kind of keep pushing it in time and time again before it kind of wore something else down, so it created enough space to where it would actually latch. I've actually had it be pretty reliable. I have found that if I push it in and it doesn't seat the first time, that I shouldn't just keep trying to push it in. I take the card all the way out and then put the card back in and try to seat it down. If it doesn't seat when I press it down, I can generally get it with my thumbnail, but if not, I'll use like a hex driver. If it doesn't seat, I again pull it all the way out, back in. Generally speaking, the second try, I typically get it, because I have found that if I press on this side of the card, not this side of the card, as you're looking at the lens, I'm trying to give you a little visual there. If I press down on this side of the card, it tends to lock into place much more reliably. Not the center, just off center towards this side of the card. If you do have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise, please let me know in the comment section below. I appreciate your time. Thanks for watching.